Hey everybody, and welcome back to Book Summaries. Today we're taking on a book that's all about finding your voice, but doing it in a way that doesn't turn you into a raging monster. We are diving into the Assertiveness Workbook by Randy J. Paterson. Forget about becoming a corporate shark for a minute, because this is about learning how to be truly present in your life. Let's get started. Chapter 1. What is assertiveness? Narrator. Paterson throws down the gauntlet right from the start, totally dismantling what we think we know about assertiveness. You can forget about putting on some kind of fake persona to get what you want in life. Forget about manipulating everyone into doing your bidding. And you can definitely forget about winning every argument that comes your way. According to Paterson, being truly assertive comes from having the guts to be your authentic self, flaws and all, and letting other people do the same thing. It's about finding that really tricky middle ground between being a total pushover and steamrolling everybody else. Picture this: you're walking a tightrope. On one end, you've got passivity. That's where you silently agree with everything, dodging conflict like it's the plague and burying your own opinions so deep you'll never see them again. Paterson says that passivity breeds resentment, makes you feel absolutely helpless, and leaves you feeling like you don't even exist. Now, on the other end of the tightrope, we've got aggression. That's the person who has to dominate every conversation, who doesn't care what anyone else thinks, and uses threats to get their way. Paterson warns us that aggression always pushes people away, creating a climate of fear. What's in the middle? That's assertiveness. It's expressing yourself clearly and respectfully while also considering the needs and feelings of other people. It's about setting those boundaries, saying no when you need to, and standing up for yourself. Paterson breaks assertive behavior down into 4 key pieces, like the legs of a table: being able to say no without feeling guilty, being able to ask for what you want without expecting people to read your mind, being able to express your feelings, good and bad, in a way that's constructive, and being able to start and keep a conversation going. Chapter 2. Overcoming the stress barrier. Narrator. Paterson gets to the million-dollar question: why is assertiveness so hard? He points to stress. When we're stressed, our bodies go into fight or flight mode, which shuts down our ability to think clearly and communicate. We get overly emotional, say stupid things, or shut down. To overcome stress, Paterson suggests a few strategies. First, relaxation techniques like deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, and mindfulness meditation. These calm your nervous system. Next, exercise. Paterson says that physical activity releases endorphins, which boost mood and also helps to reduce stress hormones. Paterson emphasizes a healthy diet. He says that what you eat affects your mood and energy, so ditch the junk food and load up on fruits, vegetables, and grains. Finally, Paterson stresses sleep. He says sleep is essential for your body and mind. Beyond these, Paterson suggests identifying your stress triggers. Once you know what makes you feel anxious, you can develop coping strategies. This might mean avoiding situations, setting boundaries with people, or practicing assertive communication techniques. Chapter 3. Overcoming the social barrier. Narrator. Paterson talks about how we avoid being assertive because we worry about what people will think. We might fear rejection, criticism, or being ostracized. Paterson says that these fears are based on unrealistic expectations and distorted beliefs. We might think that everyone needs to like us, or that conflict is bad. The truth is, it's impossible to please everyone, and healthy relationships involve disagreements. To break down the social barrier, Paterson encourages challenging negative thoughts. He suggests asking yourself whether these thoughts are based on facts or assumptions. He suggests considering the evidence that supports these thoughts and the evidence that contradicts them. He also wants you to ask yourself what the worst-case scenario is if you acted assertively, how likely that is to happen, and if you could cope with it. Paterson encourages starting small, practicing assertive behaviors in low-stakes situations first, like expressing opinions to supportive friends or family. Then, as you build confidence, Work your way up to more challenging interactions. Chapter 4. Overcoming the Belief Barrier. Narrator: Paterson dives into the deeper stuff. How our limiting beliefs prevent us from being assertive. If you believe you're not good enough, that your opinions don't matter, or that you don't deserve to have your needs met, it's tough to stand up for yourself. These beliefs often stem from past experiences, like childhood trauma, negative feedback, or societal messages that tell us we're not good enough. These beliefs operate on a subconscious level, influencing our behavior without us realizing it. Paterson thinks that untangling the mess in our heads is the best method. So how do we do it? Paterson advocates for a systematic approach to rooting out those pesky, confidence-killing beliefs. He's a big fan of cognitive restructuring. Think of it as a mental makeover, a chance to renovate the foundation of your self-perception. The first step is becoming a thought detective. Paterson challenges you to pay close attention to the thoughts swirling around in your head, especially when you're facing a challenging situation. What are you telling yourself? Are you automatically assuming the worst? Are you minimizing your own worth? Once you identify these negative thoughts, it's time to put them on trial. Paterson wants you to interrogate the evidence. Ask yourself, is there any real, concrete proof to back up these thoughts? Or are they based on vague feelings, past experiences that may not be relevant anymore, or just plain old assumptions? Once you've subjected your negative thoughts to this rigorous cross-examination, it's time to brainstorm alternatives. Paterson suggests coming up with more realistic and positive ways of looking at the situation. Instead of assuming you'll fail, focus on your strengths and past successes. Instead of catastrophizing, consider the possibility of a positive outcome. The goal is to create a more balanced and nuanced perspective, one that acknowledges the challenges but also recognizes your potential for growth and success. But Paterson doesn't think that new thoughts are enough. Beliefs are like muscles. They get stronger with exercise. So, Paterson urges you to experiment. Take a leap of faith and act as if those alternative thoughts were true. Even if you don't fully believe them yet, try behaving in a way that reflects a more confident, capable, and assertive version of yourself. Paterson says that over time, your actions will start to reshape your beliefs. However, Paterson doesn't want you to confuse self-improvement with turning yourself into an unfeeling robot. Paterson stresses the importance of self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a friend. Acknowledge your flaws and imperfections, and remind yourself that you're doing the best you can. Recognizing that you're human, that you're going to make mistakes, and that you deserve to be treated with kindness and respect, even when you fall short of your own expectations, is all part of the process. Paterson reminds us that by challenging your limiting beliefs and cultivating self-compassion, you can pave the way for a more assertive, authentic, and fulfilling life. Chapter 5. Reality Check. Narrator: let's get real for a minute, says Paterson. He wants us to understand that assertiveness isn't some kind of magic spell that will instantly transform your life. It's not a guarantee that you'll always get your way or that everyone will suddenly start treating you with respect. There will still be times when you face resistance, rejection, and conflict, no matter how assertive you become. Paterson wants you to be prepared. What does Paterson suggest we do? Paterson challenges us to focus on what you can control. He says that you can't control other people, but you can control your behavior. You can control how you express yourself, how you set boundaries, and how you respond to challenges. You can choose to react with anger and defensiveness, or you can choose to respond with calmness and assertiveness. However, Paterson thinks this is easier said than done, so he offers some helpful tips. First, practice. Assertiveness is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice to develop. The more you practice being assertive, the easier it will become. Second, Paterson believes it is important to learn to manage your emotions. When you're feeling angry, frustrated, or anxious, it's much harder to be assertive. Learn to recognize your triggers and develop strategies for managing your emotions. Third, Paterson thinks you should set realistic expectations. Don't expect to be perfect. You will make mistakes and that's okay. Learn from your mistakes and keep practicing. Fourth, Paterson suggests surrounding yourself with supportive people and talking to friends, family members, or a therapist about your goals and challenges, and ask for their feedback and encouragement. Finally, Paterson wants you to celebrate your successes. Acknowledge your progress and reward yourself for your efforts. While setting those boundaries might make you feel a little evil, Paterson is adamant that you need to. Paterson emphasizes that setting boundaries is essential for maintaining your well-being and protecting yourself from being taken advantage of. It's about defining your limits and communicating them clearly to others. But it's not always easy, especially if you're used to putting other people's needs before your own. Chapter 6 on the Launchpad, Preparing for Change. Narrator, okay, Paterson says, so you're ready to embark on this assertiveness journey. But change doesn't just happen overnight. It requires careful planning and preparation. Think of it as launching a rocket into space. You need to make sure all systems are go before you hit that ignition button. Paterson's first rule is that you need to set realistic goals. Paterson is serious about this. He asks you to think about your day-to-day life and identify specific situations where you want to be more assertive. Maybe it's speaking up in meetings at work, saying no to unreasonable requests from family members, or expressing your needs more clearly in your relationships. Start small and focus on making incremental progress. Paterson wants you to break down your big goals into smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire personality overnight, focus on mastering one or two specific assertive skills at a time. For example, if you want to be better at saying no, start by practicing with low-stakes requests. Once you feel more comfortable, you can gradually work your way up to more challenging situations. Visualization, according to Paterson, is key. He wants you to picture yourself confidently expressing your opinions, setting boundaries, and handling difficult conversations with grace and ease. Not only does this help boost your confidence, but it also helps reduce anxiety. Paterson suggests that you seek support from others. Embarking on an assertiveness journey can be challenging, so Paterson believes that it's helpful to have a support system in place. Talk to friends, family members, or a therapist about your goals and challenges. Ask for their feedback and encouragement. Paterson thinks that, sometimes, having someone to cheer you on from the sidelines can make all the difference. Also, if you're working on assertiveness with a friend, fake insults, according to Paterson, are a lot easier to handle than the real thing. Chapter 7, Becoming Visible, Nonverbal Behavior. Narrator, Paterson shifts his focus. It's not just about the words you use, but how you deliver them. Nonverbal communication is crucial for getting your message across and commanding respect. Paterson wants you to learn all about nonverbal communication so you can be as assertive as possible. Think about making eye contact, using facial expressions to convey emotions, standing up straight, using hand gestures, and speaking clearly. Paterson believes that the eyes are the windows to the soul. He says that making direct eye contact with the person you're talking to shows that you're engaged, interested, and confident. He's not talking about staring someone down, but about maintaining a steady gaze that conveys sincerity and respect. You also have to know what your face is doing. Paterson wants your facial expressions to match your words, but you might be surprised to find that you have a tell. He says that genuine smiles, furrowed brows, and nods of understanding can help you connect with others and convey your message more effectively. Posture is more than just standing up straight, but it's a good start. Paterson believes it's about projecting confidence and authority. Stand tall, keep your shoulders back, and hold your head high. Your body language should communicate that you believe in yourself and your message. Paterson also thinks that your hands are a useful tool for communication. He wants you to use them to emphasize your points, add energy to your delivery, and keep your audience engaged. Just be mindful of your gestures and avoid fidgeting or making distracting movements. Finally, you need to find your voice. Paterson thinks that speaking clearly, confidently, and with appropriate volume is essential for getting your message across. Pay attention to your tone, pitch, and pace, and adjust them to suit the situation. Avoid mumbling, speaking too quickly, or using a monotone voice. Paterson wants you to find a friend and practice together. Practice your nonverbal skills in front of a mirror or with a friend. Ask for feedback on how you come across. Are you making eye contact? Is your posture confident? Are your gestures natural and engaging? Sometimes it takes an outside perspective to see what you're doing right and what you can improve. Chapters 8: Key Assertive Skills. Narrator. Now Paterson digs into the practical skills you need to become more assertive in different situations. He says learning to communicate isn't easy, but that you can get there with practice. Paterson says to start with your thoughts. Take some time to reflect on your beliefs, values, and opinions. What do you stand for? What matters to you? Paterson stresses that by getting clear on your own perspective, you'll be better equipped to express yourself authentically. He says that there are times when you need to give your opinion, and stresses that it's important to do so in a way that's clear and respectful. This means stating your thoughts and beliefs directly, without hedging or apologizing. He wants you to avoid language that minimizes your opinion. Phrases like "I think" or "I feel" can undermine your message and make you sound less confident. Start by stating your opinion directly, and then provide supporting evidence or reasoning. Paterson is clear that this is the right approach, and emphasizes that you should respect others' opinions, even when they differ from your own. Then, Paterson stresses the importance of taking the compliment, because sometimes people will praise you. Paterson says it is essential to receive positive feedback with grace and gratitude. He wants you to resist the urge to deflect or downplay your achievements. Simply say, "Thank you," and acknowledge the positive feedback. Paterson believes that acknowledging your accomplishments and celebrating your successes is essential for building self-confidence and motivation. But then you have to give feedback, and Paterson wants you to give helpful feedback. Paterson explains that offering constructive criticism is a valuable skill. The key, he says, is to focus on specific behaviors or actions, rather than making general statements about someone's character. Paterson also wants you to offer suggestions for improvement and provide support and encouragement. However, people can also be rude, which means you have to receive negative feedback. He believes it's essential to listen to criticism without getting defensive. Focus on understanding the other person's perspective and try to identify any valid points. It's important to ask clarifying questions and to show that you're genuinely interested in understanding their point of view. The important thing is that Paterson wants you to learn from criticism and not be hurt by it. And that means that sometimes you have to give corrective feedback. However, Paterson wants you to be constructive and not critical. He recommends emphasizing that offering constructive criticism is a valuable skill. The key, he says, is to focus on specific behaviors or actions, rather than making general statements about someone's character. Paterson also wants you to offer suggestions for improvement and provide support and encouragement. He believes that it's all about emphasizing behaviors, not the inherent qualities of the person doing them. Sometimes you need to decline an offer, and Paterson wants you to master the assertive no. Paterson knows that saying no can be difficult, especially when you're used to people pleasing, but learning to say no assertively is essential for protecting your time, energy, and boundaries. Paterson emphasizes that you should decline the request politely but firmly, without feeling the need to apologize excessively. He also thinks you should offer a brief explanation, but don't feel obligated to go into great detail. Paterson also wants you to master the skill of asking for what you want in a way that is not controlling. He says that making requests can feel vulnerable, but it's essential for getting your needs met. Paterson encourages you to state your request clearly and directly, without being demanding or manipulative. He also thinks it is essential to be open to negotiation and compromise, and to be willing to meet the other person halfway. He spends a lot of time explaining how to count down to confrontation, Paterson views it as something that has to be carefully prepared for in advance. Paterson then gives his most useful tips for dealing with confrontation. Chapter 9: Constructive Confrontation. Narrator: Paterson has laid the groundwork, and now he's going to help you navigate those tricky conversations with grace and skill. This is where assertiveness really shines because it's about finding solutions, not just winning arguments. Think of confrontation as a collaborative process, where both parties are working together to find a mutually agreeable outcome. But before you dive into the deep end, Paterson wants you to think about what you want. He thinks you should clarify your goals. What do you hope to achieve from this confrontation? What are your non-negotiables? What are you willing to compromise on? Taking the time to clarify your goals will help you stay focused and avoid getting sidetracked by emotions. Paterson wants you to pick the right time and place. This is also critical. Paterson has seen conflicts go wrong again and again, and thinks timing and location are some of the biggest drivers of failure. You should also, if you can, start with a positive statement. Paterson suggests finding common ground by expressing appreciation, acknowledging their efforts, or highlighting shared values. Paterson stresses that by setting a positive tone, you'll create a more conducive environment for open communication. However, you can't ignore the problems. Paterson wants you to describe the problem clearly, focusing on specific behaviors or actions, rather than making general statements about someone's character. He says that you should stick to the facts and avoid making accusations or assumptions. Then it's time to share what you think. Paterson wants you to express your feelings, using I statements to communicate how the problem is affecting you. He wants you to avoid blaming or attacking the other person, and says to simply express your emotions in a clear and respectful way. However, Paterson isn't satisfied with simply sharing your thoughts. You have to say what would make things better. Paterson wants you to state your request. You need to state what you want, being clear and direct about what you want the other person to do. Also, Paterson stresses that it is also important to be reasonable and realistic in your expectations, and that you should be open to negotiation and compromise. It's also essential, according to Paterson, to listen to the other person's perspective. He thinks you should give the other person a chance to share their thoughts and feelings and listen actively and empathetically. Try to understand their point of view, even if you don't agree with it. Paterson's goal isn't victory, so you should work together. He wants you to collaborate with the other person to find a mutually agreeable solution. Be willing to compromise and consider their needs and concerns. Finally, he thinks that you should end on a positive note. Express appreciation for their willingness to work with you and acknowledge any progress that has been made. Postscript being you. Narrator: Paterson emphasizes that assertiveness is all about authenticity. It's about being true to yourself and expressing your needs and opinions in a way that's respectful to others. Paterson stresses that it's about finding your voice and using it to create a life that's aligned with your values. He also reminds us that assertiveness is a journey, not a destination. There will be times when you struggle, when you make mistakes, and when you feel like giving up. But don't lose heart. Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep growing. Paterson wants you to be confident, to be a person who can be heard. That's your book Summareez of the Assertiveness Workbook. Remember, assertiveness isn't about being aggressive. It's about being present, authentic, and respectful. Start practicing these skills today.